I thought I would do a quick little video kind of inspired by my comrade in Bookish Arms, Ben, who's been posting these videos from their Mac photo booth situation. I would do something similar, but my MacBook photo booth would not be able to manage all of this. It is really old. But anyways, I just wanted to do something a little quick, off the cuff, chill, relaxed vibes, because though I enjoy having a wrap up on my channel, you know, the ability for me to look back on my reading, they are videos that are really draining and they like weigh on my soul in a way that they shouldn't. But I thought that maybe doing something a bit more frequent would be helpful, and ideally something that doesn't require a lot of editing, because I'm no editing master and I don't like it that much. So I've been reading some interesting things and I wanted to talk about them because I want to. I might also be talking about them at some point in my newsletter. If you don't know, I have a newsletter and I would love it if you subscribed. Did I say that funny? I don't know, my bad. Anyways, one of the books that I'm reading, I've actually got a couple of things on the go. One of them is Brat. This is an arc. It comes out June 6th. No, that's wrong. It comes out June 4th. And this is an interesting little story told through like very short chapters. It has this gothic kind of horror quality to it. And our narrator is also called Gabrielle, same as the author. They've moved into their parents' house because the father recently passed and the mother is in a care home. She has dementia. And I don't want to say it's entirely like an internet novel, but there kind of is that internet-y humor to it, which I'm enjoying. I do really like it. I'm just curious to see where we're going. It does play with form a little bit. There's a screenplay, various novels are included into this. We see a short story. Like, it's just a very like fun vibe. Even though it's eerie and has this kind of staccato quality to it, it reminds me of, you know, in Gilmore Girls, when Kirk is showing his film to Stars Hollow and he'll be talking to the father and he's like, in this like film that he's made, I really like your daughter. I know you really like my daughter. Like it's like that. That's what it reminds me of. And then, I don't know if you guys know this, you probably don't, but I have been obsessed with Shogun. I've been watching the show and I was really enjoying the show. I was reading New York Times reviews about it, like the individual episode reviews, and then I was going on the Reddit, and then I was like seeing people talk about the book and how it's different from the show, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, let me check out the book. I have not watched, the finale hasn't dropped just yet, and the penultimate episode, I haven't watched that. I might watch that after this, or I might go see Monkey Man in the theaters, but I decided to get the book, and I just finished the book today. This is actually part one. You could get the book part one and part two, but I just wanted to suss this out, and I decided to only do part one, and I don't think I'll be continuing on to part two. I did end up reading, because I saw on Reddit there had been a book club of it at one point, and they did like deep dives into each chapter, and there were like links explaining more things. I read all of that, so I know everything that happens. And I would have to say is that I think this needed an editor. It does have some really interesting moments. It is obviously different from the show, but the show is a really decent adaptation of this. What we lose out though in the show, we don't see how clever Blackthorn is. He's actually way more competent than what he seems in the show. And I think our author was like really fond of switching points of view. So you'll get points of view from characters who you're like, this person's never going to show up again. Why does it matter? And sometimes it was interesting, but other times it wasn't. Also, this does add more context, but I was hoping that I would gain like way more information and bigger details, and I didn't really. You learn more about like Yabu's swords, which is like there's a lot going on there, and like the backstories of backstories, which yes is interesting, but not enough. I just really think that this needed to be edited down. But I do like seeing there's this inner turmoil between the Japanese who are Christian and how they kind of manage their Japanese identity with their Christian identity. And you know, suicide is a grave sin in Christianity, yet for the samurai, it is very honorable. And I think those moments are really interesting. But then after that, I went on Wikipedia to also read another plot synopsis. And I got to the very bottom of the Wikipedia page, and it was like, here are some inconsistencies or like errors with this. And one of the main ones that bothered me, at least, there were others that like I've completely forgotten, but the biggest problem was that at this time in history, when Japan is kind of like has this feudal system, they are very civilized, but obviously there's no internet, you know what I mean, right? So this book, this author has used carrier pigeons as a very important part of the book. The carrier pigeons relay messages that allow Toranaga to be ahead of the curve and to make shit happen. And do you know what? They weren't using carrier pigeons in Japan. They didn't even fucking have pigeons. So that really put me off of this, but whatever. That's this book. And then, what else is going on? I started Middlemarch. I started this maybe 2 days ago. I've made it to the end of chapter 4, and I don't really like Dorothy. I'm sorry for the Middlemarch fans. Hopefully she'll like grow on me as we move along, but like immediate thoughts, I want to be friends with this girl. She is not my cup of tea. She's quite idealistic, very haughty almost. Like she's arrogant, even though she, in some regards, like that's how she would come across to me if someone were to be this insanely religious and like, oh, I can't do that because of blah blah blah. Like she's uppity. That's what I think. But I do think it's interesting how we have this relationship between two sisters, Dorothy, who is the eldest, and then you have the younger sister, Celia, and she is less pretty but supposedly has more common sense. And though it's like hard to gauge whether or not they have a good relationship or not, because there's like spats and they're a little catty. And I think it's funny how Celia calls her sister a dodo. But at the end of chapter 4, the uncle, because I don't really want to give spoilers to this book, right, this new hot release that everyone's dying to get their hands on, I thought it was really funny though how the uncle said, discussing marriage with Dorothy, the eldest, who has 2 guys like vying for her attention. He has never married. He says, "The fact is, I never loved anyone well enough to put myself into a noose for them. It is a noose, you know. Temper now, there is temper. And a husband likes to be master." Wow, go off, Uncle Brooke. Then what else? Yeah, I also finished a nonfiction book called Sister, which is all about North Korea, the dynasty, the dictators, and it was really interesting. There was lots to dissect there, and I think that will be something I'll talk about more in my wrap-up. I'm not going to talk about that right now because I need to come correct with all of my facts. What else is going on? I don't know. That's kind of, for the most part, what's happening in my life. Tomorrow, I'll be in the city, and I will hopefully eat some good food, and I won't really do a lot of reading. I'm hoping to finish Brat today. But yeah, this is a short update video. Let me know if you like this. Is this something you're into? In some regards, I don't really even think I talked about the books as much as I would have liked, but I mean, you have to start somewhere. Am I right? I'm right. And yeah, I kind of have like an exciting next few weeks of reading planned, if you can believe it. And I don't know, let me know. Please tell me what you're currently reading this week, or what are your reading plans for the weekend. Are you watching Monkey Man? I also watched Dune like fairly recently, and Dune 1 and Dune 2, which I talked about in my newsletter. I called it Dune and Duner. I didn't really like the second one, which is wild because the film has gotten so many rave reviews, and like, do you guys have rocks for brains? Just kidding. I have some complaints, but that's something that I like to complain every now and then. And anyways, yeah, let's wrap this up because I'm talking a lot, and see you later. Thanks for watching.